What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Before there were chimes, there were bells. The pinball bell is a great instrument. Bells are tied into scoring features. They can also be tied into various playfield features when you hit a certain sequence. The size of the bell determines the tone, and they can be rung in two different ways, at least that I've seen. One is via a solenoid, almost like a knocker, that fires based off of a relay triggering, say the 100-point relay. The other is via a clapper attached to a stepper. I find those pretty interesting in their own right because it functions all as one mechanical unit. You have the bell mounted underneath of the stepper. Every time the stepper fires, the clapper hits the bell and it sounds. It's pretty neat. I have several games with bells. 1967 Chicago coin Twinkie has two different bells, one larger and lower pitched for lower point scores, and one smaller and higher pitched for higher scores. I believe the GG I just picked up has a single bell, and the exhibit Mystery has a single bell as well. I enjoy the sounds produced by the bells. They're clear and simple, and there's very little to get in the way of that noise. With chime units, as I'll discuss in the future, it seems like there's always something that is actively working to degrade the sound, especially in non-Gottlieb games. But with a bell, I've never had that kind of problem. As long as the bell is clean, it sounds true. So where do you look if your bell isn't ringing? Well, the answer is, when is the bell supposed to ring? And investigate up the schematic from there. You can find the bell listed on the schematic for games where it's solenoid driven. So you're looking for the bell coil and then work your way back, just as I discussed on my poppet card troubleshooting episode. Typically, as I mentioned, there's going to be a 10 or 100 point relay which, when actuated, is going to fire off the bell. If the relay is firing and your points are ticking up on your score reels, then the next thing to check is going to be the actual contacts that are supposed to make and activate the bell. Also look for melted coil, something where it's locked on and burned up. And then on the clapper style, frequently the clappers were ripped out of the units either to silence the machine or because they were needed for parts. I'm not really sure why they disappear, but I've run across my fair share of machines that have a missing clapper. You can always try a pinball resource for a new clapper, or you can look for a parts game, or if you go to a show in the flea market, there's usually odd assortments of stuff, especially here on the East Coast. Also important is that you have the right size coil in on the solenoid driven bells. Something too powerful will ring it improperly and possibly damage the bell. too small and you're going to get a wimpy little ding. Not the proud and true ding when the bell is struck by the appropriate coil. So, those are all things to look for if you're having trouble with your bell. Thank you for listening. My name is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online at foramusementonly.libsyn.com. And you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, on our website, just about anywhere you could think. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.